and welcome to our Energy Connect studio, NOG Energy Week 2023. I'm really glad to have sitting next to me in the studio, Thompson Tatua, Assistant General Manager at Tirex Petroleum and Energy Company. Thank you so much for joining me, Thompson.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Now, just quickly for our audience, could you just tell us what you do in the energy space?
Tirex Petroleum and Energy is an indigenous drilling contractor, but we cover services across the spectrum in the drilling sector. We're also into walkovers and intervention, as well as EPC, engineering procurement, as well. So, but primarily right now, we do more of drilling.
Interesting. And I know recently you were part of a successful Ikike drilling campaign with TotalEnergies. Can you tell me a bit more about that, but also your market presence this year in drilling?
Yeah, not just Total, with a few other companies. We started the Ikike campaign last year. It is still ongoing. We've drilled quite a couple of wells, and Total was quite happy with the service we provided, and I think they extended for 2 additional wells. And it's going on quite well. The performance has been stellar. And for Tirex, it was an opportunity to showcase what we can do working with our partners, and with a good understanding of the local terrain, we're able to bring in that level of specialization into the field, helping the customers where they have challenges that I will say non-indigenous contractors and drilling contractors may not be able to address.
That's really interesting to hear. And are you seeing a sort of increased drilling activity within Nigeria?
If you look at it from a global perspective, drilling activity has been inching up steadily. I mean, post-COVID. Right now, I think if we look at total rig in operation, it's somewhere around about 350 globally. But in Nigeria, it has been slow and steady. And to be honest, there are reasons for it. The political terrain, the recent election, I think investors are actually taking a kind of a stand-back approach to see what direction the country is going to give. We're already seeing things like the PIA, which has been passed for almost 2 years now, helping to put together a regulatory framework. But right now, we need to see stability. We need to see forward-looking projection from regulators to enable investors put in the big buck and drill more. We're seeing quite a lot from the gas side of things. And really, where is it going to come from? We have quite a backlog of gas in Nigeria, but a lot of that is associated gas. So you need to actually drill those wells to get the gas out. So it's a bit slow right now in Nigeria, but there are chances that it will pick up before the end of the year. One of the changes that just happened recently, like the removal of the subsidy, basically will empower private sector participation. And what I'm expecting to see out of that is a significant increase in drilling activity before the end of the year.
Well, that's good to hear. And how does an increased push for local content give companies like yourselves opportunities?
I think the best way to answer that, I started my career working for a company called Transocean, the largest drilling contractor in the world. When I joined that company, the drilling space was occupied predominantly by international drilling contractors. There were no local drilling companies. But right now, if you go to the land space, if you go to the back space, they are occupied completely by indigenous drilling contractors. And being able to achieve this has been one of the goals of NCDMB, the Local Content Monitoring Board. And I think they've done quite a lot to get us to this point. There's still a lot in terms of standardization of, I will say, performance standardization. Of course, the technological transfer is there, but the continuity and improvement over time is something that still needs to be worked on. Yes, local content actually helped to bring all these companies to light, help with technology transfer, help with building capacity in the country. I mean, if we're being very honest, without local content, I'm sure I won't be sitting here and talking to you today about this. So, the impact of local content is very, very significant in making this happen.
Interesting. What new drilling technologies are you excited for? What you can see coming?
Well, my entire career has always been about drilling. Drilling has always been very traditional. We haven't changed the process. We're still rotating to the right to get oil to surface. And in all these years, that hasn't changed. But there are a few developments, to align with changing in the drilling ecosystem. One thing I like to see more of in Nigeria, I like to see more MPD type drilling, managed pressure drilling. And this is something that the marginal field holders that are, that become owners of fields with depleted reservoirs that are still commercially viable can actually use to enable them drill faster and potentially cheaper. Because when you're drilling on the balance, you can drill faster. You can drill even while taking a kick. So when you have that kind of technology being applied, it has been in existence for a while, but the level of usage, possibly because of the cost, is not really that prevalent in this part of the world. But I see that as an opportunity for the marginal field, owners to actually drill, their wells faster, more efficiently, and possibly even cost effectively. Other areas, technology, I'll say, recently there's the advent of robotics drilling, where you can have the rig floor completely, unmanned, handled remotely. I mean, the reason is because the drill floor is the most dangerous area on the rig. With people in there, there are drops potential, a lot of injuries. And if you can take people away from that zone, you increase the safety level in the business overall. And drilling has always championed safety, so we're beginning to see that as new technology. From an environmental impact point, we see carbon capture, emission control from our engine systems. So newer rigs are included with this to help meet, environmental, sustainable goals, in the long term. And I'm actually looking forward to seeing more and more of that, in the drilling space.
Well, that's really interesting to hear, Thompson. Now, before we go, we're here for NOG Energy Week. What's important is having a show like this covering the whole energy sector in Abuja?
I think this is a nexus where all parties within the drilling ecosystem, the oil and gas, can come together and understand what different people, from regulators to investors to service companies to drilling contractors to international oil companies, can come together and see how they can actually make the system better. We've had regulators input on their challenges. We've had IOCs input on their challenges. Service companies, telling us what their challenges are. Sometimes we always find situations where things fall between the cracks because we're not talking to each other. An opportunity to communicate is helping us to make things better. A typical example is the recent removal of subsidy has been discussed in this event for over 10 years. Now, during that 10 years, every kind of census that was taken showed that people were in support of it, but the government never implemented it, probably because the willpower or maybe the impact on the people were not taken into consideration. But now today, the discussions we had 10 years ago has come to light and has come to stay. So this is one of the benefits of this kind of gathering.
Well, that's really good to hear, Thompson. And I just want to thank you for coming down to the Energy Connect studio.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Thanks everyone for watching, and I look forward to bringing you more studio interviews in the coming days.